Today, nearly everyone knows and understands the critical importance of the helicopter in military Spec Ops, special operations. These whirling machines have carried some of our country's best-trained military personnel on dangerous missions into remote locations around the world. When reports of these daring and life-threatening missions made the pages of a newspaper or the evening news, we were often told about the fearless and admirable feats of the brave men who wore the uniform of either a Navy SEAL or an Army Special Forces soldier, a Green Beret. But what of the pilots and crews who flew these uniquely skilled fighting men into situations that could quite literally explode in their faces at any moment? What about their skill and courage? Now, there is a book that shares an intimate view from inside the Vietnam-era helicopter unit that has been recognized as having paved the way for modern-day heliborne operations. That unit is the 281st Assault Helicopter Company, and the book is Above the Best. Above the Best by Will McCollum provides the reader with a true first-hand look inside the 281st Assault Helicopter Company, the unit recognized as having led the way and passed down the difficult lessons learned in heliborne special operations. Accounts of life and death during the Vietnam War are told by men who lived and endured the experience. An experience that could take your life in the blink of an eye. They ask nothing for themselves as they share individual stories and perspectives of their assignments with the 281st. However discernible in each chapter is the confidence they shared in each other, as well as a rightfully deserved pride in their unit. The pride displayed by the men of the 281st was earned and is well deserved. In addition to its daily support missions, their unit was assigned to support the covert and extremely dangerous missions of Project Delta. Project Delta was one of just 3 secretive special reconnaissance units created by the U.S. Military Command during the Vietnam War to collect operational intelligence in remote areas of South Vietnam. Delta's mission included operational and strategic reconnaissance into long-held Viet Cong and NVA areas to direct airstrikes on them. They were also to conduct small-scale reconnaissance and hunter-killer operations, capture and interrogate VC-NVA, tap communications, bug compounds and offices, rescue downed air crew and prisoners of war while performing other counterintelligence operations. When Delta teams were given a mission, it was the 281st that would deliver them to the insertion point and, more importantly, return to recover them when the mission was complete. Countless Project Delta team members were witness to the many selfless and heroic deeds performed by the men of the 281st who supported them. It can be noted that many Special Forces members involved in unique and dangerous operations are alive today because of bold and daring actions taken by the men of the 281st Assault Helicopter Company. As a result of their daring and selfless feats, the men of the 281st AHC have often been referred to as God's own lunatics. These were men who unhesitatingly placed the importance of another's life above that of their own. And because of their courage and actions in the face of incredible danger, the men of the 281st have quite literally secured a respected place in history for themselves. A memorial recognizing their unit has been installed at the Airborne and Special Operations Museum located near Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Their friends, families, and our country can be extremely proud of these men and their unit. And now, you can read about them in Above the Best by Will McCollum.
fighting soldiers from the sky. Fearless men who jump and die. Men who mean just what they say. The brave men of the Green Beret. Silver wings upon their chests. These are men, America's best. 100 men we'll test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Trained to live off nature's land, trained in combat, hand to hand, men who fight by night and day. Courage take from the Green Beret. Silver wings upon their chests. These are men, America's best. 100 men.
CBS presents this program in color.
Earlier this week, a Special Forces unit carried out a daring and unusual raid deep within Viet Cong territory. That story from CBS News correspondent David Culhane.
This morning, this man was a captive of the Viet Cong. When he saw this Special Forces unit come into the area, he managed to escape. Now he's telling the VC to come out, to surrender, and that they'll get good treatment from the Special Forces. It might be more logical for the enemy to be calling on the Allies to surrender, because this Special Forces unit was dropped deep into Viet Cong territory to rescue some mountain people, or montagnards, being used as slave labor by the enemy. The tigers in this wilderness give the place its name, the Valley of the Tigers. As soon as 2 groups of the South Vietnamese Special Forces and their American advisors are on the ground, Air Force planes fly overhead to broadcast to the montagnards and alert them to the chance for escape. The mountain people are usually not under direct guard. The Viet Cong simply close all the passes out of the valley to keep them working on these small hillside cornfields. These South Vietnamese soldiers lunched on the enemy corn while they waited for the montagnards to come in. Cornfields like this can be found along most of the infiltration routes used by the Viet Cong. Efforts are made to get the VC to surrender. At the worst possible moment, one of the broadcast units goes out of action. But the others continue to work, and finally the 2nd Special Forces unit, sweeping toward this position, starts coming in with the freed montagnards. The first man to arrive is greeted by a brother he has not seen in all the long months of his captivity. These people have been forced to grow corn for the Viet Cong for years. They've been ordered to save a certain portion of their crop for the infiltrators as they come down the valley leading east to the sea. These people have just walked for 3 hours through the mountains to get to this landing zone, so there's little doubt that they want to get away. They'll be taken to a refugee camp for montagnards at Nha Trang. Now the smoke signal is released to bring in the rescue helicopters. these Montagnards have never seen a helicopter up close, let alone flown on one. And they've come to associate them with terrible fire and suffering rather than life-saving. So some of them have to be carried aboard. Just as the Montagnards were airlifted out, the Viet Cong began to come within range of the landing zone on higher ground. Gunships were called in to rake the whole area with rockets, and the high-speed machine guns called miniguns. This fire suppressed enemy action long enough for the two Special Forces combat platoons to get away. This is a rare occurrence in this war, an act designed to give life and freedom in a place and time noted mainly for death and destruction. David Culhane, CBS News, in the Valley of the Tigers.